Hi everyone, I'm Scott from Sharky's Floral and Greenhouses. Today we're talking about starting seeds indoors at home. And you can see I've got some tomatoes sprouting up here, and yes, they're very leggy. Watch to the end of the video and I'll show you a quick and easy tip to deal with that. But I want to talk about how to start your seeds at home and how we do as a greenhouse, how we do this with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of seeds, that we get them to sprout and to propagate and successfully take seeds and turn them into plants. And it's really the same process, it's just that we're doing it at a larger scale level, but you can do this at home. And so the first thing I want to talk about is the germinating mix. So you really do need a different type of soil for starting seeds at home, and that's a germinating mix. And what it is, it's a very light soil, and it's easy for the seeds once they start sprouting to push up through. So you need to have a different type of mix for starting seeds. If you use a potting mix, it'll have bigger hunks in it like you would for your bedding plants or your hanging baskets. It's too heavy. And for starting seeds at home, you really need to have a light, airy, germinating mix. Now this is SunGrow. We use SunGrow in our own greenhouses. We use Jolly Gardener. Those are good quality soils that you can check out. And I'll have all these products in the description of this video so you can see where to find those. So a nice, light, airy soil is one of the keys to getting your seeds to start at home. The next thing I want to move on to is a heating mat. Having that warmth and that heat so that this soil is consistently warm, and it just really helps to get those seeds to pop, and you'll have a much higher rate of success. And so this is a heating mat. It's a small one, but again, we use the same type of things in our own greenhouses. So I've got a propagating chamber and it has several layers, and we have the big versions of the heating mats, and we give that bottom heat, and it really pops those seeds. And there's some seeds, it's kind of fun to watch, like marigolds. They are like, boom, overnight they pop up. And there's some seeds that it might take 10-15 days in the propagating chamber. So really we're doing the same thing. You find a spot where you can put this for your own seeds, and it gives that nice consistent about 85 degrees of warmth, and it travels up through that soil, and it keeps everything nice and warm 24 hours a day. And like I said, it just makes a world of difference for getting those seeds to pop. So this is a VivoSun heating mat. It's about 10 by 20 inches, and you can set up if you have different, whether you have Dixie cups or solo cups or whatever you need to find to start. You can even keep from your flats, if you're buying marigolds or begonias or whatever in the bedding plants, save these little inserts, and they're kind of nice to fill up with the germinating mix, and you can go through and start some seeds in that. So one of the other tricks is sunlight. And if you don't have a southern facing window, it's really hard to start seeds, and you might need a grow light. So this is a grow light. I like this one because it's small. They're pretty cheap, but they do work. And this is a full spectrum, so it has both the blue and the red lights that you need for both germinating and for keeping the plants growing nicely after they're up and out of the soil. This is a small one. It just hangs, and you would want to hang this about a foot above. So this plugs in. I took the cord off just for the video, but this plugs into a standard 110 volt outlet, and it gives that nice consistent lighting to get those seeds to germinate if you don't have a lot of sunlight in your house. And it takes a lot of sunlight. There's a huge difference between starting seeds in home versus like in a greenhouse like I have. There's just a ton of light coming into the greenhouse, and it's a lot easier. So if you don't have that and you only have a few windows, you might want to invest in a grow light. That just makes it'll help your success go up. So I want to take a little bit of time. How do we actually plant seeds at home? So it really depends on what you're growing. There's a difference between whether you're growing pumpkins or very small seeds like tomatoes. And some tomatoes seeds are small. This is Wisconsin 55. These are pretty small. You probably can't even see that in the video. I've got one on my tip of my finger. what you have to think about is how much soil does it need to cover. So a seed like this is a pumpkin seed, this is great big. I just put them in and push them down and then cover it up. And you really would do the same thing with tomato seeds, pepper seeds. It depends how big they are, but I don't have to get real fussy on this. I'm just gonna put it into the soil and then cover it up. If you have something that's really, really fine seed, like say lettuce is pretty small seed, that you would sprinkle on top of your soil, and then you come back through with a little handful of germinating mix and just give it a light dusting and get it covered up. So those seeds do need to be covered up. And then we would go through and water, and go easy on the watering because you don't want to float your seeds away. But you might have to come back through a couple times and water and get that soil to sit down. Now, once the seeds have sprouted at home, I get this question a lot from customers, or someone messages us, can we fertilize with the Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer? And the answer to that is, yeah, absolutely. You can start fertilizing with our Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer. Once the seeds are up and sprouted and they're little plants, I usually give them about a few days to a week before I start fertilizing. And you're going to want to use a much lighter mix. And what I mean by that is do about a half strength. We don't want to give new seedlings full strength of the Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer because this is a concentrated fertilizer. I'm going to mix it down to, I'm going to take about half of our scoop to a gallon of water, so it's about half strength. And you can go ahead and start fertilizing about once every 2 weeks or so. So the Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer, yes, absolutely, you can fertilize new seedlings. Just give them a few days to a week before you start that, and make sure that it's a half strength mixture. So that's the different things that I wanted to talk about of getting seeds started at home and how you can successfully do that. And it's fun. Don't be afraid to try. Go ahead and give it a try. I mean, all you can do is fail. And when you fail, you learn. You learn how to do this. And I failed a lot. So I've learned a lot. And that's why I'm able to, give you at home a little bit more knowledge that we do this on a commercial scale in our greenhouses. I just do this at a scale of hundreds of thousands of these every year. So, and I found out what works and what doesn't work. So we've got some tomatoes, and these are Sweet'n 100s, and I have my tag in here to let me know. Remember to mark your seeds of what they are, otherwise tomatoes look just like peppers when they're started. You won't know what they are, so make sure you take a popsicle stick or something and mark what they are. I've got some tomatoes that are very leggy. Now these were on our heating mat, they popped up, and I forgot about them, okay? So they had a few days of growth and I just absolutely forgot about them, and they got very leggy. And they don't do this as much like in my greenhouses, but these were sitting on top of our refrigerator, on top of the heating mat. Absolutely forgot about them, and they started stretching. What's great about tomatoes is it's very easy to fix that. So you can see these are tall. Tomatoes will root all along the stem. And the easy way to fix that is they keep coming up and getting too leggy. I just put my fingers around and I just push that right back down into the soil, and then I go through and push that soil back around the stem, and he'll start rooting along that stem and then growing up thicker. So again, I'm just going to take this tomato, shove them down, and take that soil and just work around it again. Now these aren't going to stay in here. I'm going to transplant these later on, and so I'm not concerned. I've got 4 tomatoes just in this one pot. You're not going to eventually grow. Tomatoes get big. I had one of my Sweet'n 100s was 14 feet tall last year, so it's not like I can fit 4 tomato plants in this one pot. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to transplant these into a bigger pot as I need to. And so I'm not concerned about having 4 tomatoes in one pot right now. So that's in a nutshell how to start your seeds at home. And again, I will put the links in the video description of this video of where you can find these different products. So it's the germinating mix, the heating mat or the grow light. And of course, you can find our Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer on our website at beatyourneighbor.com. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.